Heavenly Father, as we gather this evening, Father, we seek your wisdom and your guidance. Heavenly Father, we ask that you protect us from self-interest and narrow agendas. Father, teach us humility and make us hungry for your way. We work with us in our discussions, guide our decisions, so we always do what is right and just and serve worthily those who rely on us to focus to wisdom. Set the agenda and ensure the viability of this noble institution. Father, may our services bring you glory, you who are our loving God and merciful Lord. Now, Heavenly Father, we ask that the words of our mouth and meditation of our heart be acceptable in thy sight. And God's people said,
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is public comments, and we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. We have public comments, but we also have a period for open discussion. We have one person signed up for public comments, and those are limited to 3 minutes, and the JEDCO board cannot discuss this or take any kind of opinion on the public notice. And Tina Wright has signed up for that. So, Tina.
Good evening, JEDCO board members and fellow citizens. My name is Tina Solana Wright. I'm here to speak on behalf of Say No to JEDCO. I come before you tonight with a simple request, that you truly hear this message, not just with your ears, but with your conscience. This board was established many years ago by our city council with a mission to guide the economic future of Jasper. You were entrusted with the responsibility to steward public funds for the benefit of all who live, work, and invest in this community. But the question we must ask now, has that trust been honored? After decades of JEDCO's operation, the results speak for themselves. In 1992, Jasper had a poverty rate of 28%. Today, in 2025, it remains unchanged. Despite the mission of economic development, we've seen more businesses leave this town than arrive. This is not progress, this is stagnation. The citizens of Jasper, and even those who simply pass through here and spend their money, contribute to the funds that you've been given the privilege to shepherd. Those funds were never intended to be treated as personal allowances or favors, yet time and again we have seen instances where money has been funneled into projects benefiting board members, their friends, or families, whether through federal facade grants, construction grants, or other arrangements. While these actions may not be illegal, we must ask, are they ethical and are they moral? You are appointed to serve the public interest, not private gain. I challenge each of you tonight to reflect on your role. Are you here to promote real, lasting economic growth for Jasper, or are you here to enrich yourselves at the community's expense? We deserve transparency, we deserve accountability, and most of all, we deserve leadership that puts the people of Jasper first. Thank you.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda is approval of our minutes. So moved.
I need to move that the court approve an amendment to the minutes from the last meeting in relation to the minutes pointed toward gated rentals. And that in those minutes relating to gated rentals, they agreed on the minutes to add 24 to the 30 that they had originally promised and to hire, bringing their total to 50. Whereas the true testimony at that time and the way it is to be put in the minutes should be to reflect that they are now talking to about 30 more than was put in the minutes to bring a total of 80 new jobs to the Jasper community in relation to their grant from the JEDCO board. So their contract will reflect that they're bringing 80 jobs as opposed to 50 jobs to the community. And I move that the minutes be amended to reflect that.
Second motion.
We have a second. Any discussion? All right, let's have a vote. All in favor of amending the motion as Sid explained? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we will change those minutes. Okay, then we go to the information items, and here's where we sure miss our executive director. He goes over all of these things, but everybody has a copy of the financials in your, and the financial report for this month actually includes 2 months. And you see that we brought in $221,000 in sales tax, and we just spent 100. Over the 2 months, we just spent 28,000 of that, leaving a surplus of 193,000 for those 2 months. Are there any questions at all about the finance?
Motion to accept the finance report is submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a few comments since we do not have an executive director. I have a few comments that kind of what's going on and everything. First of all, I said, this is probably going to be our last meeting in this, for these members. Hopefully, the city council is going to appoint new directors at the next city council meeting. Of course, we've been waiting for this for 8 or 9 months now, but there is a plan, and hopefully the city will follow through with it. The number of directors will not change because our bylaws reflect having 17 directors. And the city can only appoint, we can understand it, can only appoint or replace at any time. That's their prerogative. But until the bylaws are changed by mutual agreement between JEDCO and the city, the number of directors will not change. It's my understanding now that they're thinking about the way that they propose is there will be 10 new directors. That means 10 of us will be replaced. We don't know who. And I want to point out, this board, regardless of what has been said tonight in other places, since 2008, under 2009, under Eddie Hopkins, we have brought more business to Jasper than has ever been done before, especially in terms of employees. And we've showed this many times in many ways that this has been a very successful board since we increased it to 17 members and mainly business leaders. And I feel like regardless of what happens now, I just want to say, I personally think this board has really done a tremendous job, especially under Eddie, and we should feel, regardless of what they're saying tonight, we should feel like that we have contributed to Jasper. I want to announce now that if I'm reappointed, I will not continue to serve as president. The new board will need to find a new president. And hopefully, ones that stay on this board that have some experience, somebody will step up to be our next president. Okay? Because there is some good experience right here on this board.
Along those lines,
Okay.
I would like to say that this board is involved at looking at people who come before us seeking finances to help them bring a business to Jasper that will bring new employees to Jasper. That's it. And you need to have, and I'm not gonna be one of the ones that's coming back, but you need to be able to make sure that businessmen that are knowledgeable in what it takes to make a business run are appointed to this board. We've had the benefit of several very, very good businessmen on this board who have the ability to say, look, that business ought to be able to borrow that money at a bank as opposed to getting the money from JEDCO. Then they have the ability to look at a business and say, I believe that is a going business that can make it in Jasper, Texas. Now, Marvin isn't here tonight, but my goodness gracious, I don't know of anybody that has any more experience in looking at a group of people that are wanting to form a business in Jasper and being able to tell, yeah, I think that's going to be a success, or no, I don't think it's going to be a success. And that is the type of person that you sure want to have on this board. My time on the board, I have enjoyed immensely, and I'm extremely proud of it. And when I go down, I hope I put that in my obituary, that I was a member of the board of the Jasper Economic Development Corporation, because I think that signifies somebody that was interested in promoting this town. And we need to promote Jasper and bring back the business that we lost to Isidore and some of the other businesses that have left us through no fault of our own. Anyway, thanks for the opportunity, gang.
Thank you, Sid. We have brought a lot, if employment is still as high as it was before, I do not know why, because we brought a lot of new jobs to Jasper since 2008. Do need to bring an update on the ones that we worked on. Right-Way Assisted Living Center, we've signed the agreements with them to help them. We're just waiting for them to supply some paperwork before we can actually help them. So it's in their ballpark as far as bringing us to the required paperwork before we can help them. Sun Bistro is going on with it, but they have not requested anything yet, and we've not signed any kind of legal agreements with them yet. Gated Rentals, we have not done the agreements with them, but they are moving along fast, and they haven't submitted a bill to us yet. Are there any questions about any of those projects? Those are the 3 projects that we have going on right now. Okay. The new board will be having to find a new, hopefully the new board will need to start immediately trying to find an executive director, maybe somebody that can step in as an interim. Because I can tell you it's a lot of work, because I think a lot of it's fallen on me the last 15 months. And it's been a lot. And I appreciate Sam and all these, every time I call him, which is about every day, he does what needs to be done around here, okay? The next thing okay, yeah, we have a couple of board reports. Do we have?
Yeah, there's no activity in the beautification program at this time. And on the sports complex, Jones is removing the timber that belongs to them. And that should be done. And we've got another 14 acres, and the same contractor is going to remove those. And that's about all that's going on with the sports complexes.
Okay, any facade things working?
No.
Okay. All right, the The next thing on our program is open discussion, which, as far as I know, this hasn't ever been done like this before. And we'll see how it works out. But I'm inviting anybody that wants to get up and talk about anything that has to do with JEDCO. We'd just like it to be one person at a time speaking, and after that person speaks, if any of the board members want to comment, then they will have a chance to comment on after they speak. So, is there anybody that would like to get up and say anything to the JEDCO board? I really wish.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it would be 10 new members coming on to JEDCO,
Well,
and that there was a plan that was already in place. Can you tell me who made that plan, who formed that plan? Because as a council member, this is the first that I've heard about a plan to add 10 new members to the board. I think we have another council member here. Are you aware of a plan?
I did not know that it hadn't been discussed among you, but this is from Clark. Okay, and he was saying that each one of y'all are gonna have two choices. And I thought this is something you're gonna vote on first. And I don't know, and I can tell you this, in years past, the city has asked JEDCO to give names of people, and we would mainly provide business people. And that's a good way to do it, but I understand that at least Clark didn't feel like that would work in the current city council. So what he told me, and this is just me throwing out, that I'm pretty sure that at least 10 of us are going to go if we don't all go. Okay, and that's all I was throwing out. That he told me that I think that y'all were planning to vote, and the way that it was going to be presented in the vote was that there would be 7 members of JEDCO board that would stay on, and then each one of you would appoint 2 members to the board, each council person.
Yes.
And that's up to you to vote that way. I don't know whether that'll happen.
But that's not JEDCO's plan, that comes from the city council. So as far as this group is concerned, we don't have any plan, we turned it over to the city council.
Yes, sir, that was my question. Whose plan was it? Because I am a city council member, so I was just curious, and you said this is the mayor's plan, Clark's plan?
This is what Clark told me he was gonna propose. Yes,
Okay.
in the city council.
Okay.
And my only objection to that was, why isn't it done the way it's been done in the past? And JEDCO turns in to the city, the people we would like to see on the board. And that's the way I have some copies of where that was done in the past like that. But nobody's asked us to do that. And
Yes,
it
sir.
doesn't sound like,
Not
Yes,
going
sir.
to.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anybody else like to say?
I heard that there's Bell's store coming in.
This was actually on our agenda to talk about tonight, and the reason that it hadn't been brought up.
Why don't you do it?
Well, they were supposed to call us this week with some information, which they didn't do. So all we know is that we had a Zoom call with Bell's and with the Phelps. And they wanted help on air conditioning units, if they, on that building. And that's considered, we Googled it, and air conditioning is considered infrastructure, which we can help in, because they say it's very necessary in Jasper. But, we asked them for information on how much we were looking at, and they were supposed to give Sam that information by tonight, and they didn't, so.
Is that the same place that they were in before?
Yes, except that I understand this is a different Bell's. Yeah, it's a different Bell's. This is,
Excuse me, and you said this building belongs to the Phelan family? Okay.
yes.
That complex, does it?
Yeah, I think the whole complex.
Except for Berkshire.
No, Brookshire's building does too.
It's all tax.
I talked to him.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not positive.
The whole complex.
But The reason we didn't bring it up is they didn't ever provide us with any information, so.
Can you explain to us what Retail Coach is?
It's a company that has a lot of ties to businesses that have, mainly, a lot of them are franchises, that are looking at a lot of locations. And so, we hoped that they could convince some of their clients to come to Jasper. And they brought several of them here, and they've gone nowhere. And my personal opinion, this is only my personal opinion, is because they see the negative attitude around Jasper.
Do you know what businesses they attempted to bring this way?
One of the things that they do is they look and they try to find out what sort of businesses are needed in the area.
Sure.
So they do like the secret shoppers, they get out and say, what would make Jasper a better place to be? And they go out and they ask the community individuals. And then they take that information back to see if any of the retail agents are interested because there's a need in the area. So there's a whole spectrum of things that are available, but they look to see what's unique that would work in Jasper, and then they come back and see if it would work.
And they did, when they did come, they did do a meeting that we met with them. And what they do is they check the demographics in the entire area. And it not only encompasses the city of Jasper, but they go out, I think it's so many miles out that they go, and they talk to their clients. Their clients also feel like, okay, we wanna see how much business outside of the city of Jasper will be drawn to the city of Jasper. So it's just not the city of Jasper that
Sure.
they have to depend on.
I know H-E-B was one of them, I know Chick-fil-A was one of them. So, that, you know, they talk to several.
There's some clothing entities as well, I think, some retail clothing.
Retail, yeah, two retail clothing.
Yes,
Dr. Brown, you would sure make a good president.
I noticed that, it says on some of the paperwork that contract is over now. Is it last payment made? Is that right for Retail Coach?
I do not think we've been in contact with them for a while, because we do not have an executive director. I don't know.
The last time I spoke to any of them, they said that even though the contract was through and they're not requiring any more payments, they would still help us if necessary.
Did we gain anything with that, with them here?
Not that I know of, except that, I think they owe us a final report, that they haven't made, but I think they've extended their, like Sam said, if we want to go on with them, I think they would give us some more service without annual payments.
Mr. President, may I respectfully ask how much you've already paid the Retail Coach?
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head.
No, I don't know. Not,
Guesstimate?
How about his $60,000?
I don't know.
So no member of this board knows how much money they've spent.
It was a set amount, but I don't know the exact amount. I'm just gonna throw it around, it's probably.
Records would reveal $60,000.
I'm looking at the.
It's zero gain as of this point?
And I want to say, all of us up here are volunteers, and I have been very, very busy with JEDCO, but I haven't got into that. Okay. I feel like we've tried through the years more than one company like that to try to help us bring outside businesses to Jasper. It's been a tough go, and I really do not think that, or I do think that the kind of situation that we've had between the city of Jasper and JEDCO is not helping us at all. When somebody looks at that, one of the first things Providence told us when they look at the site, one of the first things they look at is how the community works together, and we certainly haven't seen this in the last 9 months.
Since we're asking questions,
Please.
could you explain the gated rental thing? Like, I understand that they've made 2 requests of funding, but so it belongs to the Bruce family. So they'll keep ownership of the mill. But you said, didn't you say that they've done a lot of renovations to it? And that, they haven't come to JEDCO for money yet? So they'll do all of it and then ask for the money?
Our normal procedure is when we sign up agreements with people, we do all the legal documents, and that we don't give them money as such. We wait till they pay the bills and bring us an invoice and show that they paid it, then we reimburse them.
Okay, so they just came back a second time?
Well,
Just,
the way I understand it, the sprinkler system, was running a lot more than what they expected. And they came back with saying, hey, if we increase it to 20 more employees, we'll get up to 80 eventually. Can we get a little more help with this, because it's costing quite a bit more than what they expected.
And then they'll just ask after it's all done, then they ask for the money?
Yes, after they paid the bills. And they're paying the bills, not Bruce, they're doing the modification. But I think he did some of it early, but now they're doing. One of the things that they're doing, which was impressive, is the old office building is there beside, it was a mess when we looked at it. And everybody thought, well, we're just gonna tear this down, because it's in such a bad mess, but they remodeled it, and it looks amazing. And, Gated Reynolds did all that, not Bruce, and it's a nice office complex now.
And the city of Jasper did a lot of the infrastructure?
Well, they helped with electricity is all I know.
Okay. With the electricity, is that's all you know of as far as Gated Reynolds, as far as?
The city had to bring in electricity a different way than the building, and they did all that.
And what about as far as water and sewer, that direction? You don't know of anything on that end?
As far as I know, that was all okay.
So with the city, doing that, is that part of their grant monies? Is that allotted back to the cities or to the city, or how does that work?
You have to ask the city on all that. I mean, JEDCO didn't take, we just introduced the city to Gated Reynolds, and they negotiated on that. I'm not sure how that worked out. But I know that the city, usually when a big manufacturing company comes into the city, they provide most of the electricity coming to it, because they're gonna get paid back. But I don't know how Jasper does it, that's the city.
Yeah, sometimes it's a meet in the middle. You do this part, I meet you on this end, it's a good median.
Right.
Fair business, if the deal's done correctly.
They do have electricity.
So with that money, was it accurate that it was 2 sets of approval up to this point, 2 Gated Rentals, or just 1? I'm confused on that. Previously,
We made an original agreement
correct?
that called for them to hire 30 employees, originally, and then add 20 within 18 months.
And with that
And they
first
came back
30,
that we signed that agreement, but as far as I know, no money's changed.
no agreement's been signed either?
We signed the first agreement.
Okay, for the.
We have not signed the second agreement.
And with that first agreement, was that 350 allotted or approved, or 325?
I've got it right here. $365.
And the second,
Second one has not been done yet. We voted
Just
to.
voted on?
We voted to, another 350, wasn't it? And believe me, for 20 more employees right now, that's.
did JEDCO board know when voting the second time around that they anticipating adding the employees total
Yes.
number,
Well, we didn't,
or until today?
we were talking about original employees only,
Correct.
and it was from 30 to 50. We didn't mention in the last, and that's why we're correcting the minutes, that they had already agreed to another 30 in 18 months. And it wasn't in that discussion.
Right, okay. Gotcha.
That's
If
why
I could
we-
ask, how many have they hired so far? They've been here for like a year, right, since the first agreement. Do you know how many employees from Jasper they've hired so
They haven't
far?
been here near a year, and they haven't had, they spent a lot of money out there, and I'm sure I've taken several tours, and I'm sure that we could organize a tour for anybody, especially city council, to go out there. But they haven't, all they've got is construction workers out there.
So they haven't hired any? That was my only question. They
Well,
haven't hired
they've
any.
got construction workers out
Oh, I
there,
see.
but not,
Employees of them.
They haven't started any
They're still,
production.
they're breaking ground.
they haven't started production. They have bought property in the Houston area. They already have one of these gated communities in operation, and they bought property and they're developing the property now to add 3 more gated communities in the Houston area.
But don't they have some, of their employees here?
Well, they have some of the supervisory employees. Yeah, they have about, I don't know for sure, but around 4 supervisory people, and some of them are coming and going too. But I don't know how many contractors they have out there.
Well, my question was about the jobs promised. I didn't know that you were doing the construction first and then they provide the jobs. You
Right.
give them the funding and they do the construction and then they do the jobs that they've promised, or they provide the jobs that they've promised to you guys.
Right.
That was my question.
But we haven't given any funds to them yet. We're still waiting on them to finish everything that they're supposed to do to that site before we give them anything. They have to show us that they've already paid for it and we'll reimburse. And we go through a lawyer on everything we do to make sure that we're doing it right.
While we're in an open discussion, there's a lot of comments that seem to come up about not doing anything to help the businesses that are here. And I think the misconception is that money can be spent to help the businesses that are here. And the short version is, if an existing business is here and they're looking at expanding services and bringing on new jobs, then money can be provided to them. It's not like we can just write a check and say, hey, you're struggling, here's some money. I would advise, if anybody wanted to see what JEDCO can actually do, is that you go to www.edpbestpractice.com. This is an abbreviated form that tells how type A, type B development corporations can be set up, what they can do, what you can't do. And it's economic development. It's not economic proliferation. It's not to make businesses, it's to develop new businesses. And so a lot of people think, again, that money can be spent to enhance what's here, but it's only if you're expanding, and then certain things that can be used to help expand. And if you're saying, some of them say, or employees as a part of your expansion. And so the guidelines have to fit these specific recommendations as put out by the state of Texas. And so again, I think there's a lot of misconception that money can be spent any kind of way, but there's specific guidelines that have to be followed. The lawyer has to take a look at it. And so we as a board, we look at that information. We think that it's an appropriate addition that would help the city. And then it goes to the appropriate people for their review and for the lawyer to say, yes, that fits what an economic development can do. And then it takes place.
Now, there are different types of economic development corporations. We're a 4A. We did go back in 2009 and voted so we could do some sports. Youth sports is the only, we went and had a city election and they approved us using JEDCO funds to do youth sports. We could easily go back. If we wanted to expand that further, we can go back to the citizens of Jasper again and ask that we do other 4B projects, but we have to be specific when we do that. Or we could even be changed to a 4B, but that's a major deal. But to me, it makes sense if we have some specific things we want to do, to go back to the citizens of Jasper and ask that we can spend funds in those particular ways. And that can be done, and we've already done it once.
As long as it follows the state EDC guidelines.
Right.
I noticed the handout from the reception the other day, that it listed Kelly Industries. Was that a JEDCO project?
Well, we didn't have to give them any money. We helped them come to Jasper, but we did not fund anything there. We did the rodeo ring and store all that equipment. They came to us and asked for funds. We told them what they would have to, the agreements they would have to sign with us, and they decided, no, we'll just do it ourselves. They're glad to have them in Jasper, and we helped them come, but we didn't find any funds.
They rent the rodeo arena?
That's, they own it. It's
Oh, they own it?
yes, and they spend a lot of money on it.
Let me ask this.
Yes.
Are we still, helping providers? Are we still helping them pay?
No,
They're on their own right now?
they're on their own.
That's what I'm.
We have to look for expansion.
Yeah, there's a possibility they can expand, but they're opening, besides here, they did Crockett, and I understand they're opening another, but in Henderson right now.
So Corvallis did go ahead and go on into Crockett as well?
Yes, they went into Crockett years later, and then they went in, now they're going into Henderson. They are outgrowing their facility here in Jasper, and with some help, they might be convinced to have more employees at a different location.
I know this might be a tough question just to answer off the top of your head, but considering all that's been going on and all that's been in discussion, does JEDCO know the total expenditures that was spent towards Corvallis throughout that 5-year tenure completely?
Oh,
Because it was a huge contract, and it can go multiple ways if, just by how it was written up, I feel, by what was opened, certain individuals moved out of area, they got a $5,000 stipend, various different various different ways to pay out money from JEDCO. Do we know the total that was spent out
We have,
with Corvallis?
Yes.
To help get Corvallis here?
Yes, we have records of it, I couldn't tell you on top of my head.
Okay, I just didn't know.
We have records. I tell you, I prepared something and it's been a pass out many times, around here, of the total amount of sales tax money that's been brought in, and then how that money was used to create a lot more, like, I think $8 million worth of sales tax produced over $50 million in employment during that same time. And only about 16% of that 8 million, we think, came from Jasper citizens.
Yeah, think is one way. I'd like to see more of the more precise strategy of coming up with those numbers. I think that would be very difficult to know exactly, or even try to put that on there
It is.
as an average.
I went to each one of these companies and asked for their employment numbers. And some of them were pretty hesitant to give it out. I mean, these are people that passed JEDCO help. And some of them, didn't really want to give that thing out. So that was the type of information, but I got it as much as I could from them. So we know exactly how much sales tax we brought in.
Right.
We know we know pretty well how many employees each one have, and and then they gave me, their closest estimates they could on what that total amount of employment was during that time. So,
If they don't create the jobs, they have to give the money back.
yes.
Right, that's a part of checks and balances, that's part of an agreement.
Right.
If both sides have to meet their terms, or one side defaults, or both.
Any other questions?
Do we, what happens in a default of agreement?
Well, STI, not S, yeah, STI has a building at the airport, okay? I couldn't give you actual numbers on that, but we helped them based on how many employees they were gonna have there. It ended up, what they planned for that business didn't work out,
Sure.
and they paid all the money back, all of it. So, yes,
Are all who make the agreement, liable and responsible to reimburse JEDCO if the agreements weren't fulfilled?
yes. Sometimes it's a little difficult to collect, but yes, they're always liable.
Do we have, do we know of any that use any type of possible bailout for their responsibility by chance? I know it's a broad term, but, and I think of one during a time, it was during COVID. Is that, I mean, is there legality in that, or is it still a individual? 'Cause
I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's one I've been really concerned about. They have been given two options. We're actually going through lawyers with them right now. I'm glad we're not calling names, but anyway.
We don't have to.
They have been given two options. Either they've got to start up that business or pay us back. They paid some of it back,
It's just not,
but not all of it.
it wasn't
But
met.
they still have a lot of the equipment, and they could still start that business. And they need to do one or the other. And you know,
That sounds fair.
yeah. And we're very aware of that and working.
Did the bullwhip machine get paid for?
Yeah, but they're
The $70,000 bullwhip?
they're still in business, yes. But, you know, they haven't lived up to their,
How many jobs was that?
you remember, Sam?
That was.
Anybody remember that was a while ago? Anybody remember how many jobs?
Because they all work for the city now.
Well, they have wives and people that work there, but yes.
Where's it located at?
They did, we were hoping they would put it downtown, but it's not downtown.
So where is it?
Where is it at? Store building, I understand, store. Well, I understand.
Was there a physical address currently? Is there, if it's in business?
Again, y'all, it's impossible to operate a company like JEDCO without an executive.
But you had one up until just recently, so what happened before that?
It's 9 months now, about 7 months at least, that we've been without one. And I'll tell you this, I'm way past the age of remembering everything, and I don't want to even be president. I'm trying to do the best I can, but I'm only a year younger than Biden, okay?
I've seen that contract and it says, within, 3 months, I think it is, that they'll be located in the city. So that didn't happen.
We need to pull that contract.
We have default.
Sam.
So you're saying the bullwhip machine is supposed to be located in Jasper?
No, we wanted it to be located downtown, but I didn't think it was gonna be agreed with that.
Are they making bullwhips and producing and
he was still here, which is the last time I think we checked on it. They were in operation, yes. But I
I wouldn't mind buying one, what they had? I mean,
You buy them online. They sell them online.
online? Okay.
They have a website, or they did.
Okay.
But the contract says it's to be located in Jasper, and I think it was 3 jobs.
That sounds right, located in Jasper, but not necessarily downtown in 3 jobs, that sounds. And I think their wives probably were 2 of the employees. That could have been, to me, it's like all businesses, that could have been drawn into something. We saw some potential in that, but I'm not sure that they've done it. You never know, like Spectra, for instance. We've helped them, they were gonna build these planes, okay? And trying to get started on that. That didn't work out, but instead they ended up growing their business and employing more people than anything else, but just mainly migrants. You know, these businesses, as you try to help them, they'll always go the direction you expect. Right now, we had a huge potential to have a company come to Jasper and spend like $380 million. I doubt it's gonna happen now. And the reason I doubt it is because it's all based on biodiesel.
Based on,
Biodiesel.
oh,
Nobody knows what's gonna happen in biodiesel.
They even moved a bunch of equipment here.
Oh, yeah, they've already got the equipment. But
I mean,
large,
large,
I talk to them a lot because that's a field that I'm kind of familiar with. Okay. And we, Terra Biochem, has grown a good bit, but even their raw materials are based on biodiesel production. So I'm really worried about what might happen. When you're helping these businesses, you need to look at their business plans, see their potential, what you can do, and then we look at what we can do. And like Dr. Brown said, we can't do everything. We can only mainly help them with infrastructure, and then so much money per employee, and there's not really a definite number there either. But we bring all this information in, and we talk about it. Usually, these things start talking about it in a closed session, because people, in our executive sessions, because our clients really don't want that out there until, and we discuss it, all of these, problems like you're talking about, like with bullwhips. You talk about that, and then finally decide, is this a good gamble or not? It may or may not be. We're just trying to get industry, and not just industry, but businesses to Jasper, and we're using our best judgment. And I don't know, besides the one that didn't survive COVID, and they're still saying they may start up. I don't think we've made any mistakes since 2008, since this board right here with 17 members was formed. Okay? There's some of them been brought back. The things that keep getting mentioned were before 2000, that JEDCO had problems with, were before 2008, and it was when mainly the JEDCO board was composed of city council people, not business.
did you say before 2008?
Yes.
You feel that JEDCO did not go to city council prior to 2008, but you feel strongly, or you feel enough to make the comment that JEDCO has been to city council and been very open in discussing with them from 2008? Is that what you're?
There's always some city council members on the board, but that may change. Part of the legal opinion, that may change, but we've always had some city council people on our board. And so, yes, there's been pretty good communication there, but what I'm talking about was prior to 2008, JEDCO board only had 5 members, and about 3 of them were city council.
personally, this is just my personal opinion, I believe a lot of, either misinformation, misconstrued information is failure to communicate openly.
And I'll go there.
And I feel that if the communication gets stronger and more open, you will, that's when you start gaining trust. Trust is a must, even in a business deal, even in a personal relationship, even as a citizen of a community. Trust for our government officials, or any board you sit on, that you're making fair, just judgment for all. That's what I think those that don't have a hand in the cookie jar want to see here.
Question for you though, the meetings are open. Nobody is excluded from coming in and hearing the deliberation, the presentations. There is an executive session where we talk about some of the things. So it's not as if it's a hidden agenda.
No, I didn't say that. Okay, so when you say there are open meetings, you're correct, but it's almost like you have to chase to find the information. Now there is a web page. It is posted. We encountered that with the city of Jasper, that the information, public information is not publicly being posted for those to see. It's almost like it's in a hidden spot, and you need to know somebody to know where to go to look for it. That's not how public information works. It's accessible, readily accessible to all public. And that's where I feel that the conflict and the public information has being posted. And I'm understanding that that's definitely being worked on to here through JEDCO, as far as publicly putting the meetings out there and when as well.
Well, you might not want to leave right now. I gotta go to the restroom. Let it go.
So, I mean, I know you say that they are public, I
I'll
get
wait
that
till you
because
get
that's
back.
law, but it's the fact of the community and the public knowing about them and not last minute. So, I mean, I think the webpage is gonna resolve that too, as long as, they're continuing to keep, the current information on the webpage.
I've got to say this, and that's one reason I would like to stay in here, that we can talk about it before it goes back. We've had problems getting correct information out there. And let me tell you, what happened to Eddie Hopkins? You couldn't know a finer person than Eddie Hopkins. We couldn't ever find a better executive director than
Sure.
Eddie Hopkins. And
And-
this town murdered him. I mean,
No, sir, I'm not gonna allow that. I don't believe that, I don't feel that. I do feel that JEDCO is a team, whether you're a board member or whether you are an officer voted in, or, the two hierarchy on the totem pole, everyone works as a team. And I, for one, can't see this much education being in one room and certain things not being followed in areas that are so common to what an economic development is. That's where you start getting mistrust. And it's not from a certain type of group, it's just, it's the foundation of our
you and I have
country.
had this discussion for a long period of time.
Yes,
And I
we
didn't
did.
hear one thing. Now, you're talking good generalities, but what's something specific?
I'm sorry?
You talk good in generalities, but give me one specific example of what you're talking
In favor of public information being
about.
posted?
Of something that we've not, done correctly.
Of something of not what?
An example of something that JEDCO did not do correctly.
Oh, sir, things are happening currently, but I'm saying there's a leading up. There's a leading up to this. So, and this is just things that I think is gonna help the public as far as open records and open, meetings and letting the public know.
Agreed, okay, I understand.
Maybe that's where I was aiming at, that
Yeah,
main
understand.
point right there.
No,
Could
I think we've had problems getting the correct information out, and it doesn't take, like on the radio station, it doesn't take the one word being changed to give things a different connotation than what was intended when we said it.
But-
And I've seen that time and time.
Right, but also, knowing where to go to obtain the information is key.
And like Dr. Brown said, all our meetings are open except for the executive sessions, and I almost wish some people could sit on that because they talk about, why 17 members? Well, you know, I don't know why, I didn't go up to 17 members, I don't know where that came from, but it's amazing how well it's worked. And you talk about working as a team, we definitely need an executive director, but with that executive director, he brings in all the information to us, and we sit, and we, in the executive session, we talk about all these different things, and sometimes if you were here in the room with us, you'd wonder how the vote's gonna go, and almost every time, by the time we come out and vote on it, it's unanimous. Almost, you know, we might have somebody abstain every now and then, but it's
Well,
almost.
I guess with that also, are you talking about the appointments of the board members, or
I'm just talking about the fact that we do work as a team, even with 17 members.
But
And I-
abstaining or disagreeing is not being a part of the team.
Right.
It's, I represent a different demographic than you all do. So that's why I can't always agree.
Well, that's fine, that's not,
Uh-huh.
what I'm talking about is that we do have pretty good discussions of these things, and we come back with, by far, the majority of people supporting the things that we decide to do. And so, I feel like we work pretty good together.
Could you give us an update on the sports complex?
Well, we gave one earlier, that right now they're.
About the
lobbying
land,
it.
the taking
They're
over.
lobbying it right now. And all we've agreed to do, as JEDCO board, all we've agreed to do so far is buy the property. We have not made any kind of votes or anything to go further with this project. And I think, I believe that most of us wanted to just buy the property and see how the public reacted to that. Whether people wanted us to go on developing, or whether somebody else like the city or the sports association would take over the project. So far, right now, we're just clearing the property, we're gonna look at it and see, hopefully, the next step, if we decide, would be to hire somebody to develop a master plan, which we haven't gone there yet. Does any of our board members have anything else to say?
You know, Danny, it's easy to just keep your mouth shut. But I listened to some of the things that are being said, and honestly, it's kind of aggravating. Yeah, we have 17 people. We're given assignments, and we talk about their bike, and I can think back when I was given my assignment was to go out and investigate, primarily in regard to doing a rail spur, and then also to collaborate with the city council to get a greater electrical service out there too. And that's what we did, and it's provided great results. Charles has worked diligently in regard to the athletic complex, and we're at this point. All of these things create jobs, which is our cornerstone of what we're trying to accomplish. Earlier, the young lady had mentioned about the unemployment rate being 28%. And I just think what the unemployment rate would be if you didn't have JEDCO working to create the jobs.
Poverty.
Poverty rate.
Right.
But I just wonder what the poverty rate would be if we weren't working diligently to create jobs. And then I hear about the having our hands in the cookie jar. And what do you mean by that?
Well, on that comment, certain people who are different demographics is a good term to use. Those of us that don't have their hand in the cookie jar. there's no other explanation other than say that.
Yes,
You
there is.
have-
There is a.
You have owners that are, okay,
cookie jar?
so when I say, okay, so the way I see it, on some of these contracts, a lot of these funds are going to advance properties, and I get that's a part of business. Some of these that I see going on and money's been going into, they're on 10-year contracts. If they fulfill them, but if they fail to fulfill them, and it's like some of them, I would think, and it's y'all that determine it. It's almost like set up to fail. There's no way it's gonna continue as
Can
they
you give an example?
anticipated. Sir?
Can you give an example?
The one I probably think about automatically is the one downtown, the Jewel Bistro. And I don't know their numbers or anything, I've never looked at their books. I haven't looked at any of that.
So
But-
you're just guessing?
No, I'm looking at what went out towards it to develop it, the different areas that went out versus what's, how it's created and what it's bringing in. That's me, but I don't know a lot of the people who have their ties and everything or who the complete owner is. Hang in the cookie jar. That means,
You're just going around in circles. You're not
well, cause I don't
getting-
wanna see, I'm not gonna name names particular, I threw that one out there because I think it's been, and I think that y'all, if I'm correct, this is that the right way, assisted living owners as well? So that's not, okay, and that's fine. There's multiple businesses from that owner that y'all have helped, and I think we had this discussion the other day.
They're family members, but as far as you compare right way assisted living with Jewel Bistro, I think they're related to each other. We didn't even know that when this all started. Yeah, they're both of those are, the only thing we were helping them with was infrastructure, which is one of the few things that's listed that a 4A business can do. Is help with infrastructure for, and hopefully with added employment. That's also what we're planning on doing for Sun Bistro, is infrastructure. And that's gonna be a huge complex and a good thing for Jasper. Again, we'll only reimburse them for their expenses. And they've agreed to, in Sun Bistro, we're talking about 25 employees.
And how is that business going this far?
I think they moved some equipment, we haven't.
That's about it. And they put a fence up around it.
Yes, but we haven't given them anything, and they haven't asked for anything yet. Yes, we just agreed to help them with some infrastructure, and we will, when they pay for things like some sewer system or something, just an example, they'll give us a bill and we'll reimburse them for it. As long as it stays under the amount that we've agreed to help them. And it'll be a big boost for Jasper, and that's what they're planning on. They're really, they did a presentation for us on our screen, architectural drawings of what that project's gonna look like, and it'll be really good for Jasper.
I'd like to make a comment on some of this that you've been discussing. Some of these businesses that you've encouraged and helped bring to Jasper, fabulous, great. However, those jobs are minimum wage or less than living wage. There's no retirement plan, there's no vacation plan, there's no health care benefit. So when you're talking about developing this town economically, that to me is developing the town economically, bringing jobs that pay $20 an hour with benefits.
Sustainability.
We'll take what we can get. You know, a job making whatever wage is better than nothing.
Well, it isn't.
We had Visitor here that employed a bunch of people, and they pulled out as a family because their family didn't want to live here anymore. And not because of anything that we did wrong, but we lost those big businesses that could pay high salaries. Now we're going out there and searching and finding any kind of a business we can help to help this economy. And really, I mean, you've heard somebody get upset about it, but when I hear hand in the cookie jar, that means that I'm making something off of sitting on this board as I have for years and years. I'm not the lawyer for JEDCO. I'm not. And I refused it and told them, no, I can't do that because that would not be ethical. But I do sit on this board for nothing and come down here and work and try to bring business to Jasper, Texas. And if I can bring somebody here that'll pay $15, $20, $25 an hour, man, I'll be going all over the country trying to bring those people in. If all I can bring in is somebody that's maybe not satisfying what you want them to make, I'm still going to try to bring that business into Jasper so that we can generate some income
So
for whatever kind of family wants to live here.
My argument with you on this is the jobs that are created, that's great. But like, for instance, Sun Bistro, this gentleman will be hiring high school students. They're not people who are needing to get off of government assistance because they're making more sitting at home, receiving a check than is being paid on these jobs.
Now, wait a minute. We're not going to get into a discussion about welfare. We're creating jobs
We
that
have a
people
30%,
want
almost
to
a
go and
30%,
hire.
we have a 30%, nearly 30% poverty rate. Those people are on welfare. I'm sorry, but that is the truth. And if you cannot offer them a job that pays a wage that is more than they're receiving through a government check, they will never get off of the help that they're receiving.
And so don't give them anything. Don't give them an opportunity.
That is not what I'm saying. $7 an hour is not going to cut it.
How do you propose getting a higher paying job? What could we do?
You guys, in my opinion, I don't sit where you are. I don't have the experience that you have. However, my thoughts are you need to bring industry and manufacturing here. Period, end of story. And the reason that it cannot happen right now is because I feel like the board, as it sits, doesn't have the desire for that to happen.
So when we hire like a retail coach and whatever price that they were paid, when we get an outside entity to try to help us see what we need, that's not reaching out, that's not taking it out of our hands and saying, help us find what we need.
If they're not fulfilling their contract by helping you, no, they're not doing their job.
They're looking.
That's not giving results. And I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just saying, I like to see things happening. I don't want to see them happen.
I'd like to say something. Okay, my turn now, okay? And a lot of people in this room have heard me say this before. Some of you haven't. I moved here to Jasper in about '79. We moved, Bonnie and I moved to Jasper because we saw a place that had a lot of potential. She had a family business that we could get into and grow. And we saw, when we looked at Jasper, they had Visitor here, they had Louisiana Pacific, the big, it was O&I. They had a sawmill in McQueen Street.
Wood Lumber Company?
Yeah, Wood. It really looked really nice. Well, we bought the company in '82, and within no time at all three of them shut down. And it's taken us this long of working hard to get all of those locations going again. Gated Rentals is the last one to come in and fill that gap. It's taken us this long, and it's not because of lack of effort.
I'm not saying that. Please don't misunderstand that I'm not saying that you aren't putting the effort in. But the vision that, I mean, this is why I think it would be good to get input from the community. Because you all are able to, you know, make these decisions, but there's a lot of people in this town that have a lot of good ideas of what they would like to see come here. And I'm not talking about an HEB or Golden Corral or anything like that. I'm talking about real jobs, such as opening the airport up. We are 2 hours from Houston. Why don't we have airlines that can do commuter flights from this area to, and make it a place that people want to come here, to go fishing, to go hunting, to do the things that they can do here because we have the resources here.
How do you?
Why don't we look at maybe bringing in an Amazon distribution hub, or a UPS hub, or the postal service? I mean, there's so many different things that could be done here.
We are a center
I've got to say this. How does sitting out in the chair saying no to JEDCO, when I asked you to come in and talk to us, you wouldn't even come in the door?
That's correct.
Okay? That's
Because
not
I
helping,
did not
that's
feel
not
fine.
helping us. That's not helping anybody.
No,
Okay?
but I'm here now,
Okay.
and I'm talking to you, and I'm letting you know that there are people in this community that have a lot of really good ideas that could help grow the actual bottom line, to get these people, all of our citizens that are in poverty, out of that, lift them.
You need to give the city council those names so they can put them on this board. Okay?
We've tried,
Okay?
we've tried.
Do you realize these, going back to the retail coach, these companies, whether it be Chick-fil-A or it be an Amazon, they're looking for demographics, data. For Dallas, they were looking for specific demographics as far as being close to a military base so that they would have access to retired military or discharged military personnel. But they're looking for specific demographics. If you were to apply it to a college coach recruiting football players, if they want a tight end, they're wanting a tight end that's about 6'5", probably about 240 pounds, that runs about a 4.9, 5 flat, 40. Demographics, and then you get into the aspects of character of the individual. But they have specifics that they're looking for. There are, I promise you, all across America, there are towns that are of equal size to Jasper, Texas, that are paying money, like we're paying a retail coach, to try to get companies to come in.
Right, but the one thing that we do have that a lot of little towns do not is we have the airport.
And the airport is a tremendous resource,
Yes.
and JEDCO has worked to get businesses to come into that. But when you start talking about having it as a commuter airline, am I understanding that's what you're saying?
Well, not necessarily community, it can be a tourism. We have the lake. I mean, it's such a huge.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I am here because I want to be here. My
Yes.
heart is here. I love the land. I love the people.
I gotta say this, Jasper has a tremendous potential. I
It
wouldn't
does.
be here if it wasn't. Jasper has a tremendous potential, but we cannot live up to that potential unless we all find a way to work together and not use the airways to fight each other.
And we do have open meetings, and if people have these great ideas, why don't they come and express them to us?
I think a lot of us do want to and do, but sometimes there has been occurrences when, and I mentioned the other day, people get attacked here. It's not funny, but it's so accurate. And you don't understand this. From the outside looking in, obviously, ex-mayor, is when you have citizens that are a community that things have been factually made out in the open, that things have not been doing properly and fairly, no one wants to bring their hard-earned dollars they've earned and invest in an area that they're not sure of. And if they cross one wrong person, they can have 20 different other people from different, and a lot of people and family are tied into each other. And those from the outside are not a part of the inside yet. And if something comes up to where they disgruntle someone or piss someone off, sorry for my language, it's like putting a target on their back. That's not good growth to an area when people are like that. And you, sir,
I have not
you
seen
just
anything
made
that you're saying.
you just made a
Before you
gesture.
say people getting attacked here, I've not seen anybody get more attacked than city council and this board. And like you just said, that pisses me off. Okay, our city council and our board here have been attacked more than anything. You're saying citizens don't wanna come because they feel like they're being
No, I didn't
attacked?
say citizens.
I don't see that.
Let me say something here. Again, one example. One example. I keep asking that. When you keep talking about all these things, I keep asking for one example. I haven't got it yet.
Mr. President, may I speak?
Yes, you, please.
And I don't say much in meetings because in my world, the media is not supposed to say anything in meetings. We may editorialize or report or whatever on the radio or in the print, but I was taught by people that the media has no place in voicing their opinion in open meetings. But I'm also a citizen of this town. I pay taxes here. And I want to stand when I speak to every one of you, because I want to look you in the eye. And I want to tell you something. Danny, you said a minute ago that things were wrong reported on radio. Give me one instance like you asked that.
Gosh.
See, you said something.
I can give it, but I have to.
Okay, but you said something you couldn't back up. Now,
Well, no,
let's
I
go
can't
that
back
little
it up.
step here further. How many of you in this room tonight hate Jasper? I want you to raise your hand if you hate Jasper. How many in this room tonight love Jasper? How many of you want jobs and prosperity for our community? Did you see this vote here? Even the ones that have come to attack you and question you love this city in which we live and reside in. It's our home. None of us want it to be anything but better.
Well, Mike, let me say, it would really help Jasper if the radio station promoted Jasper also.
Well, let me
But
say,
that's not what I said.
let me say this, is if I editorialize, that's my right. That's the First Amendment. In reporting the news, we report it whether it's good or bad.
But you can change.
Okay, for instance, this lady right over here, I heard all these rumors about the JEDCO board wasn't legal and all this. I heard all them. I read it on Facebook, which is like reading the bathroom wall out here at the truck stop. Okay? But did you hear me report any of that or say anything about it? No. I didn't fall into this witch hunt stuff in Jasper. Okay? Until that lady right there got up and questioned y'all that night. Then I reported it. Should I have reported it? Or should I have kept it a secret to be positive about Jasper? She didn't create that problem. Y'all did. Okay? Now, you say, wrongfully, and I'm going to call you out on it. You have over and over said that the city, JEDCO should stay out of the city's politics. Your executive director come down there and told him to hire a man for $25,000 a month to act as a advisor on that internet program that they were going to do. He later said that he didn't do that. He forgot one thing. I was sitting right there and saw him do it. Eddie told him to hire the guy for, no, $25,000 a month. Okay, did I just say $25,000 a month? That was JEDCO getting in the city's business. Now, you have repeatedly, and others said, that the city caused all this problem. Guess what, my friends? I'm 69 years old, and I've been to more JEDCO meetings and city council meetings than probably anybody in this room.
Not me.
Well, you're right, sir. I apologize with all due respect. Okay? Because I've covered City Hall and JEDCO since 1996. Okay, so I do know a little about this. I remember years ago, and I'm going to bring up something, and I'm going to brag on JEDCO, if that'll be all right with you, sir. I remember years ago when this JEDCO loaned a man $150,000 to do hair tonic here. I called over to the town that he left, and you know what they said? Yeah, he left here owing everybody. He come here and Jasper gave him $150,000. He left here and went to Faraday, Louisiana, and a few months after that, they wrote him off, okay? So JEDCO didn't do good due diligence in checking that out.
But you did, you kept flying over his place, and you knew that he wasn't doing anything down there, didn't you?
Yes.
Because you were flying over and you checked him out every time.
Well, every time I flew over there, I looked in the dumpster, and there wasn't nothing in there if it wasn't there before.
Yeah.
I was also at a JEDCO meeting. May I speak without interruption? Give me that respect. I also went to a JEDCO meeting one night when the executive director got up, give his report, and said, oh, I was out there the other day and everything was just rosy and it's doing fine, they're coming right along. And David Barber, our mayor, said, well, I did a little checking and the electricity's been turned off out there for 2 months because they didn't pay it. Okay, then let me tell you about these studies y'all get done, these people you hire. This is all prior to this board now. I went down there one day, the JEDCO, they're still meeting at City Hall. They hired a firm to come in and do an economic report and planning proposals, you know, what's the strengths of Jasper and this and that. And they paid them about $12,000 to do this. When I saw that little report, I thought, well, you know, this is something that the Parnell Elementary School could do. But all the members of that board, oh, we're so proud to have this, oh, this is so informative and this and that. A few weeks later, the editor of the Cleveland Advocate called me. And he said, did they do a report up there for y'all? I said, sure did. He said, what was in it? And we started sharing stuff and we exchanged them in the mail. It was the same report. The firm had done the same thing for Jasper and Cleveland, they just changed the names. The JEDCO did not do due diligence with our money prior to this board.
That's what.
Now, and y'all are still eating all of that unfairly. You built a building out here at the airport. She says do the airport. Well, hey. Y'all sunk about $600,000 out there last time I knew. And it didn't produce that particular project.
It's producing now.
But that one didn't there, okay? Now, were y'all wrong to do that? No. You did it based on the information that you had at the time. It looked promising, but it didn't work out. I, as an aviator, can tell you some reasons that it didn't work out. They had a fantastic aircraft. They could have really done things. In fact, if you'll look at the Kodiak Quest and some others, it's a copy of it. But they did not have any management and business skills. You get what I'm saying? They didn't know how to go out and sell their product and get investors. So they started hiring these people, like y'all like, to go and do these things for them, these experts, and they took the rest of the remaining money, okay? Now, JEDCO got on a good start. And I remember coming to these meetings here and saying, as a reporter and as a citizen of Jasper, that I was so proud of the new JEDCO. I think I even told you that before. That they were actually doing things and actually getting some things working around here that might work for this community. And it was going, in my opinion, very well. Danny Walker, you as the president of JEDCO, and me as the mayor of Jasper, which contrary to what people believe and the lies been told, I want to be president of JEDCO, tell me who said that. And I'll look them in the eye. They say, I want to be mayor again. No, hell no. Okay? But I will tell y'all this, me and that man right there, when he was president of JEDCO, and I was the mayor of Jasper, did we get Traeger here or not? We sit in the back room up there, and one of the reasons we did, because instead of me just sitting on the board and wanting to look important, I went to the Sound River Municipal Power Agency while everybody else just wanted to go over and get lunch. I went over there and I got us an economic development rate, and we put it in place for JEDCO. Am I right? I mean, for Traeger.
Yeah.
And that was the deciding factor, was it not, Danny? Because these people were gonna use the same machines in Jasper that they were using in Georgia and Oregon or somewhere else.
There were a lot of deciding factors, but that sure helped.
Oh, yes, because when I said that day, I said, well, here's what the electric, was it not a big factor? Because they were gonna use the same machines, so they knew how many kilowatt hours a day they were gonna do. And they said, going by your electric rates, and I said, well, look here. I got the SRMPA not only to give us an economic, they said if the city of Jasper will sell the electricity to an oncoming customer at their cost, we will do it too. So we had the wholesaler giving electricity at their cost. We had the city of Jasper giving electricity cost by a unique agreement that was done with the city of Jasper, JEDCO, and the Sam Rayburn Municipal Power Agency. And that's how we got Traeger here now, and they're out here now. Then we turned around when Tara Bykim was going to leave town. And we got them that rate. Am I right?
Correct.
This is what happens when city and JEDCO works together. Now, so when we go on here to say,
Please be positive, or all of us are gonna have to go to the bathroom.
yeah, okay.
I want to say one thing, there's only one thing. Most of what you talked about before Terabyte Kim and Traeger Grill was all prior to this.
I just said that a minute ago.
You said it, yeah, but I wanted to make the more.
Yeah.
You said it one little piece of a lot of stuff.
Well, I will say it 3 times. That was all prior to this board. That was all prior to this board. That was all prior to this board.
Okay.
Sire, does that, am I okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, look here. I covered meetings of city council and JEDCO for, like I say, since 1996. And it has been indicated by this board and you that it's all the city's fault. No.
No?
We need to quit pointing fingers in Jasper and start looking for solutions. Okay, for instance, I went to many city council meetings where somebody, generally the executive director from the Jasper Economic Development Corporation, would come to that city council meeting and then say, we have Steve Stewart here that's leaving town and he can no longer serve on the board, and we want to put Sharon Atkins on there. That's the board's recommendation. And I never saw the council go against the board of this corporation. In that same way, they would come by and say, hey, this term is expiring, or this term needs to be renewed. The council would vote to renew it. I never saw the city council go against JEDCO on anything.
Until now.
Until now, because y'all never come to them in the last few.
That's not right.
No, in the last, wait a minute. I challenge you, we'll go down there and look tonight. It's somewhere or another in there, y'all quit coming to the city council and asking them about these board members. Okay?
Here's the mayor sitting right
Okay,
here.
well, I was on there before he was even in Jackson.
I know, but we're talking about the current city
Okay,
council.
well, okay,
Because I appointed 3 of these
No.
people, go ahead.
Negative.
I wanna talk about something positive.
Okay, well, I won't talk about what I want to right now.
I know, but you've been doing this for 15 minutes.
You're not, no, you're not
He
in
has
control
the
of
right.
mine. Or the president is. If you want to object to me talking, you need to talk to him, okay? What I'm trying to say is, the city of Jasper, you can go wherever you need to go. The city of Jasper and board, council and this board worked together for years.
Correct.
And did a great job for this community. And we had one of the best boards here that we've ever had, and they were doing things, except somewhere or another in there, they quit coming to the council about appointments or renewals. Now why? That's what we need to ask. But look here, Danny.
Oh, I agree.
All of this pointing fingers at everybody and saying, well, they did this, did that ain't getting Jasper nowhere. We need to move forward for a little dying town. Our mayor only got up there on the radio today, and he said, we need to look at Newton, we need to look at Von Weir, we need to look at Spurger, we need to look at...
I don't think we've been pointing fingers, it was a dual thing.
Well, what I'm saying is, yes,
Yes.
probably was, but that don't give you the right to point at them and say they're the whole damn problem.
But after it was discovered,
Yeah,
it could have been corrected.
absolutely.
It could have been corrected
No,
immediately.
absolutely.
we did try.
And if I had been mayor, guess what I'd done? About the next agenda, I'd have said, and we'd have had a point with JEDCO, okay? That's what I'd have done, because I used to get out and I didn't do stuff, just sit around and eat cookies and cake, okay? Now, I want to say this. Everybody in this town needs to come together and quit worrying about their own little baby wicks and their little kinfolk friends trying to get them some money out of something, doing this now, and move forward and do something for this town.
To grow, right.
Okay? And you talk about, you served on this board for these years and ain't got paid. I served on the city council for 6 years. I served on the SREDA for 8 years. I made every one of those meetings, which none of them were in Jasper. They were in Liberty or Livingston. And I never turned in a dime for nothing to nobody. I can tell you what I got. I got one ream of paper one time at City Hall. And then the SRPA board come to Jasper to tour the Sam River Dam. And I took them to Elijah's and we bought. So I got one meal at Elijah's. And I got one ream of paper for 8 years of service to this city. You know why? Because I wasn't in it for me. I was in it for the people of Jasper. Thank you for your privilege of letting me talk.
Thank you.
Does anybody want to say anything on it? All I can say is, when I listen to you on the radio, Mike, it comes out pretty negative for JEDCO.
Well, it should, because it's negative. What's happening down here?
You have to accept the accountability and know where the errors were made and correct it to move on.
Well, when we discovered the term limits and hadn't been reappointed, we immediately tried to work with the city. I'm talking about JEDCO, and we just couldn't get anywhere.
Well,
you know,
sir, that was I'm just a citizen that was looking in during that time too as well. That made, that heightened concerns as to what's been going on previously. And then when you start looking into actions that have been made during those years and the failure of actions not being made that need to be made, reappointments are just as important as appointments, and board members are the ones who elect yearly on who sits on the panel. And to me, you say you have a legal opinion, I can get 10 lawyers and you can get 10 different opinions on how they feel. But reappointments, failure of reappointments, I still strongly feel that doesn't give them the right to continue to act as a board member. The responsibility to continue is you as a president, you sir as a treasurer. Those terms and those laws are abiding by y'all three, not board members. So I'm still strongly questioning on that, the legality of the current board as far as lack of reappointment. It's a must, not a option. I would like to see that. And I feel, and I tried to speak to Mr. Sam the other day about possibly adding that also to the website, the years the board members and all are appointed. I do think it's just a fair request for the public. Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All right, I think, does anybody on the board have anything else to add? I think we, and Mike, I will try to look for something specific to get back to you on, but, you know, I really feel like that if you really want to help Jasper, we need to keep Jasper more positive, please. Okay?
Do some positive, we'll report it.
Well, we have doing a lot of positive, a lot of positive.
And I've told them about all the
Make sure we're doing it right.
I got one little thing.
Yeah, you go.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Only one little thing, and this is good. And I appreciate that you all did help, the store downtown Bistro. It's beautiful. It highlights Jasper. Everybody comes out of town, comes to the Bistro. And that is her brother that has the, I'm grateful that they come from out of town to do this. This is to help Jasper, and I appreciate y'all for doing that. Because they wasn't asking for, he wasn't asking for a lot, he was just wanting, I was here that night, he just wanted help with his water sprinklers. Because, the city of Jasper kept rejecting the, what's his name, the guy that do the inspection, kept rejecting him. So yeah, I was glad to see somebody black coming in trying to do something, and I thank you for that. Now I gotta go
What
to
would you
church.
think about taking about a quarter of the space from the street toward the courthouse and making it into a parking lot, kind of like they have in Center, Texas?
What area again?
I think we're really getting off the subject here. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Any second? All in favor? Aye.
This will be online, right?
Your second.
Yeah.